So you've been podcasting for a while, or maybe you want to start a new podcast and you're not sure what success means for you and your podcast and your brand. In this video, we're going to dive into how to measure success for your podcast and make a positive ROI for your brand and your company. Let's dive in. Hey there, Craig Hewitt here from Castos. Thanks so much for checking out the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to evaluate and measure what success means for your podcast. And I think the first place to start here is to define what's the purpose of your show, right? Is it to just get more listeners? Is it to increase brand equity maybe for you and your business and your brand, to get people to know, like, and trust you? Is it to get leads or get sales? Or maybe is it for you to network as the founder? And I think that these fall into three real buckets that I think about as a podcaster. And I've podcasted across all of these kind of categories in my kind of podcasting journey. So let's dive into the first, which is podcasting for entertainment. Okay, podcasting as an entertainer. The metric here is all about downloads, right? Think about your favorite true crime podcast or your favorite reality TV review podcast or something like that. Think about, in a business sense, you might think of this as a B2C relationship. You're a business or a brand as a podcast, and the people that you want to listen are consumers, right? They're probably never going to buy anything from you. And the goal for your podcast and how we measure success is downloads, engagement, community building, and probably thus the way that you would monetize your podcast is with ads. So if you think of it in a B2C relationship kind of analogy, your goal really is downloads. This is the only example of these three where downloads is the kind of metric that you want to track and the measure of success. And ideally, you want to see the download count going up every episode. So as you release a new episode, you want to get a little bit better at your craft, a little bit better at promoting your show and engaging with your audience so that you can increase that download count over time. Most advertisers will look at downloads after a certain period of time, say 6 or 8 weeks, as like this fixed window to where you will kind of get all the listeners that you'll get, excluding the real long tail of listeners who will come in, months or years after an episode comes out. So take a fixed window. You can decide what that is, say 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and say, okay, how many downloads did I get in this 6 or 8 week period after an episode went out? And then track those in an Excel spreadsheet, maybe over time. Or if you're using a platform like Castos, you can track that over time in your analytics dashboard. So category 2 here is having your business be an avenue through which you elevate your brand and your company's name and reputation in your space. And then the goal here, or the hopeful outcome, as it is for this channel, right? This channel and our podcast, the goal is not necessarily downloads or viewership on a YouTube channel, but it is exposure of our brand and the things that we know and believe, the community of podcasters, right? And so our goal is to share the Castos name and hopefully educate and inspire and teach a lot of what we know about podcasting so that the podcasting community just as a whole is able to make better podcasts, are able to be more successful, quit your job and live the dream of being a creator. That's our goal here, right? So we probably will never directly monetize any of our content, right? Our podcast, our blog, our YouTube channel, always going to be entirely free. But the goal with us is that when it's time for you to start a podcast or you're thinking about switching hosting providers, you'll say, hey, the Castos team just always puts out great stuff. They've been giving to us and to the community for so long. It's time for me to start a podcast and I need a hosting provider. It's time for me to find a producer. I'm going to hire Castos Productions to edit and produce my podcast, or whatever else that we offer that you might need as a creator. That's our goal with all of our content. Is it's all entirely free. We give it away without any kind of assumptions, in the hope that when it's time for you to kind of potentially become a customer of ours, that you will have thought about some of the things that we've done and that you've learned along the way and become a customer. That's the goal. And that's the goal for a lot of businesses. So if you're a business wanting to engage in a more B2B relationship, think not about downloads. It definitely is not the primary metric, but it is value. How much value can you give from you and your brand and your team to the community and the industry that you're in? I think this is the kind of B2B podcast or just content play in general, whether it's a YouTube channel or a blog or a podcast, is give, educate and inspire, and help people to get value from your channel or from your content or from your tool or your software or your service in the end. So I think that's the second bucket I would put under how to measure success for a podcast, is that your brand is just so much better and well received and well known and recognized in your industry because of the content you put out. Category number 3 with how to measure success for your podcast is networking. If you're a small business or a coach or a consultant or an entrepreneur or indie hacker or something like that, best thing you can do for your podcast and the goal, right, and what the definition of success for your show might be is not downloads, it's not business, it's networking. It's getting the chance to meet really cool people in your industry. This is why we started our new show called The Limelight. The Limelight is me talking to our customers and people in the podcasting industry about what make their shows awesome. And there's a selfish aspect to this for me. I want a chance to talk to awesome podcasters. And it just so happens that I'm recording these conversations, sharing them as podcasting on our YouTube channel. The primary goal really is for me to use this as a way to get to know more people and meet really super interesting people that I probably wouldn't have a chance to meet otherwise. And then the added bonus is that we get to share that information with everybody. So this feeds back to the second kind of category of why people might podcast and what success might be. So you might say for our show, The Limelight, it really is the networking bucket and that second bucket we talked to about just kind of educating and inspiring our industry and hopefully elevating our brand. But for a lot of folks, especially just starting out, and I think especially as you get more to the like high ticket coaching and consulting, more that you would think, hey, the best thing you can hope to get out of your podcast might not be downloads at all. It might be the relationships you build with your guests and the people in your industry as a result. I'll just say for myself, podcasting has opened so many doors, including starting this company, raising funding, all sorts of things, quitting my job and being able to kind of live the life I want as an entrepreneur, all from podcasting. Not downloads, right? Not downloads. And I didn't even have a brand when I started. So it was just all about networking. It's all that third bucket for me for so long. And I think that's part of it too, is like how you measure success as a podcaster is not going to be in the short term. Don't think in terms of weeks or even months. Think in terms of years. Put in the work, show up every week, do as good as you can, and the results will come to you. But I think we need to have a long-term content mindset when it comes to podcasting or YouTube or blogging or email or whatever kind of content medium you're in. Whether you're needing to champion this to your boss or manager or just kind of justify it to yourself as a creator, don't expect the results to come in the short term. That's by far the exception. The most common thing is, hey, it's going to take months or years for you to see results out of this. And you'll learn along the way and you'll continue to inch along and get better at your craft. But I promise if you do that and if you stick with it, you'll see the results. Hope you enjoyed this discussion as we chat through the 3 ways you can measure success, or the 3 buckets of success that we believe podcasters can fall into and evaluate. If you're enjoying this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below about what you think success means for you and your podcast, and we'll see you soon.